Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I'm Joe, 470 back in the garage this week, and we are going to talk about rear airbag suspension problems. So stay tuned. That is right. These things have rear airbags instead of springs. They auto adjust depending on how much weight you have in the vehicle. They can be problematic from time to time. We're going to talk about some of the issues you might have, some of the fixes, starting from the easier, more normal issues, and then ending with some of the more oddball, obscure issues and ways that you will address that. First up, if you leave your GX overnight and you come back the next morning and the rear end has sagged, you've got a leak somewhere. You are leaking air from the system somewhere, and your guess is as good as mine when it comes to finding that. Spray bottle with soapy water is probably a good first start. Crawl around and start spraying those lines and looking for air bubbling out. That's pretty much what you're going to do to find those leaks, and then of course you're going to buy the replacement parts to fix it. Something that could be a little bit more obscure fix with that is your compressor. The pump itself might be going bad, and it's leaking from the pump. Might not be as easy to find that leak. You can check your pump by pushing the button on your control panel in your center console, the ups and downs, and see if the suspension is actually working. If it goes up, the compressor is functioning and is putting air into your system, but it still may be leaking. Now, another issue, if your air suspension is not doing anything, if it is not raising or lowering while you're pushing the switches, what you can do is turn the key to on, just all the way past the accessory to the on, don't start it, and if you still have your control panel, which I don't, more on that later, you can just turn the switch to off and let it sit for 10 minutes. Now, supposedly that will reset the system, kind of jump start it back into working again, and then you can turn the car off, turn the car back on with your suspension turned on, and see if that works. Now, if you don't have this switch panel, like I don't, again, more on that later, there is a fuse in the fuse box under the hood that you can essentially do the same thing, pull the fuse instead of pushing the button, and give it that 10 minutes, and hopefully it will reset itself. Go for a drive. I forgot to mention that earlier. After you do that reset, go for a drive, get it up to speed, see if the suspension, well, the only way you're going to know if it is working is if you put a bunch of weight in the back. So get the family in the back of the car and go for a drive, see if the suspension raises itself back up into that ride position. Now, if none of that is working, there is another oddball hack that you can do. We're going to need a little piece of wire, and we're going to have to get underneath the dash though to do it. All right, you're going to need a really fine piece of wire or even possibly a paper clip. I actually I have some of this stainless steel wire I use for hanging parts to paint and stuff. I use that because we need something stiff enough and small enough to stick into the pins of our OBD2 reader, which you see right here. All right, we've got our OBD2 connector down here, right in the driver's footwell. We got the dead pedal right here, and then there's your OBD2. What we're going to do is you're going to take your piece of wire and you're going to put it in the fourth one in on the top, the fifth one in on the bottom from the left, and you're going to, like I said, put that jumper in just like that. If you're using a bare piece of wire, like I am, make sure it's not touching any other bare metal, and make sure it gets wedged in there good. Next, we are going to hop into the driver's seat. All right, we've got our key in the ignition. We're going to turn the ignition all the way over to on. Don't start it though. Now, I've seen this done a couple different ways. First way is just turn the key on and wait, and this screen is going to come up. It's kind of the, I don't know, the dealer test programming, etc., screen. And basically, once you've got into this screen, it has reset the system. If for some reason some of your codes don't say okay, like mine haven't in the past for whatever reason. You can clear that. Let's see, I'm gonna go up to menu here, and I think, yep, that's service check. That should bring us back. Just wait a second, back to where we need to be. The other way that I've seen you can do it, let's turn the car back off. We're gonna turn the ignition on, and we're gonna start pressing the brake multiple times until that same screen comes back on. Let's try that. Pressing the brake. Now, I did hear something click under the hood. I don't know if that was a relay. I don't know if anything different has changed, but we're in the same screen, and theoretically, according to the information that I have on the internet, that has reset the air suspension. Before we move on to like the last couple things, let's talk real quick. Why in the world would you need to do this other than some of the reasons that I explained? And I'm going to tell you my reason for having learned all of this and having had to have done all of it, including what I have coming up. 2 times I've done the thing that we're going to do next. The first time I don't remember why. The second time I'll tell you. If for some reason your battery died, or like I said, those other things weren't working for you, you basically just need to reset the brain for the ECU for that air suspension. One is slightly more drastic, I suppose, at least work-wise, as you move on. This last time, my issue was when I had the truck in the garage. When I was doing the subwoofer video, I had lowered the air suspension in the back all the way, just so it was easier for me to get it out of the trunk. Had the doors open, did it, you know, taking most of the day to do it while I'm filming and whatever. I drained the battery down enough so that it wouldn't start. The battery wasn't completely dead, but it wouldn't start. When I went to start it, the air suspension wouldn't work. It wouldn't level itself out. It was totally bottomed out. I tried driving it gently and seeing if that would reset the system. I did pulled the fuse. I did underneath the dash. I could get it to air up because the airbags were all the way down, lowered. The dash said it was in the neutral position. I could put a little bit of air in it. I'd hit that up button because I have that switch that I wired in myself underneath the dash, which is why I don't have this panel anymore. I'll link that video at the end. But I hit that up button, which always has worked before, and it would air up for just like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it would stop. So after that, what I ended up doing was I had to crawl up underneath the back, and after many hours digging on the internet, I was reminded about this process because I had done it once before. Don't remember why I did it. Dead battery, maybe, again. And had to pull the 2 air lines out of the, it's like the diaphragm, the air tank basically. Drain all of the air out of the system, which there wasn't really any air in it anyway because they were already, the airbags were already bottomed out, which is like a little residual air pressure. And I gotta be honest, I don't remember if I pulled the fuse while I did this or not to reset it for that 10 minutes. I think I did because I was like, you know what, I'll pull the fuse for the 10 minutes and do that reset. I'll pull the air lines off of it, completely drain the air out, which should trigger the air sensors in the tank to show that it has no air pressure. Put it all back together, started the car up, didn't do anything, scared me a little bit. Pushed the button to raise it up to the theoretical high position, and sure enough, put enough air in it, it went from all the way low to all the way high. Pushed my airbag button down 1 to put it back in the neutral position, lowered it back down to the neutral position, and we are good to go. It is auto adjusting now for weight. All right, so here is the, I call it the air tank. We're behind the rear axle on the driver's side. We are gonna focus on, let's see, this line and this line. Those are what we need to get taken off. And I think we'll take that one off too. We'll just take them all off, make sure all the air is out. It's pretty easy. Pinch these fittings. Let's see, pinch and pull back. See, I just pinched that, pull that back. There's a little tab here. You basically have to use a little screwdriver and just kind of finagle that in. You're gonna have to like push the line in, push that down. We're going back and forth until it comes out. I'm sorry, I don't have a more elegant explanation. On the other, that top one, you need to pop that wire off and pull that plastic forked retainer off, and then the line should come out. Also, when I was doing that, I found something else that could have played a factor in it. I'm pretty sure most of it was the airbag system was just confused because the battery died, but I wouldn't have got much further along, especially in the auto ride adjust system, because one of these little links, see that right there? Focus, focus. One of these little turnbuckle links, there's one on each side in the back, was broken. It should look like that. It looked like that. Now, basically what these do is they connect the sensor for the ride height to the suspension. The suspension squats, it moves this, moves the sensor, tells the switch more air, less air, and these little ball joints on the end should be free and move, and this one definitely does not. So I've had to replace a couple of these in the past before. I think it was last winter before, or no, it was in the spring. I think it was last spring. I noticed that we were no longer adjusting height automatically with the family getting in and out. Got up underneath there, found that these things were seized up. You can get these on AliExpress. I don't know if they're any better or any worse. I think I'd go as cheap as possible and just keep spraying them with some lube because they're pretty awful anyway. They're easy to replace. I had some on hand. I had gotten some used ones from a friend that deleted their system. So if your airbag system is not auto leveling itself and your air compressor is still working, you can raise it and lower it manually with the button. You may want to crawl underneath there and check your adjusters to see if they are completely frozen. And if not, maybe it's the electrical sensor itself. I've not had one of those fail. I don't think it's that common for those things to fail, but anytime you're rotating your tires, you back up underneath there, definitely give these little links a spritz, some WD-40, some PB Blaster. They're supposed to be sealed, which of course they're not. Also, they're aluminum. I have taken them off, put them in the vise, heated this up until it was nice loosey-goosey, sprayed a bunch of grease in there, and let them run for another 6 months or whatever. So it's not like a super precision instrument. They just need to be loose enough to work and adjust for the weight. Man, it's really hard to get this camera up in here. Here's this adjuster right in the middle of the screen. That's the bottom of it. We're right next to the airbag here. We're on the passenger side looking towards the rear axle. So there is your adjuster, that little turnbuckle thing. That is the bottom of it. It goes up and connects in the top. I think you're going to need a 10 mil socket and a 10 mil wrench because obviously you don't want the inside of it to spin. And basically that on the bottom connects to a little tab on your upper control arm, and then it goes up and connects to the sensor. That sensor is actually bolted to the frame, and that's where we've added those washers in the past to trick this air system into lifting basically, but that's where it's at. The other side's a little bit more difficult to get to because of the gas tank, but you can get underneath there with a creeper, a couple hand tools, and it's not too bad. If you are new to the channel, this is a lot of the stuff we do here. Right now ownership is GX470, 3rd gen 4Runner, but a lot of that stuff carries over into the Toyota platform because a lot of the stuff underneath this 470 is the same as 4th gens, FJ Cruisers, Sequoias, Land Cruisers of that era. A lot of it is exactly the same stuff. So please give the video a thumbs up if it helped you. Comments, questions down below, of course, always. And if you really got some in-depth conversation you want to have, feel free to email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. So subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that. Follow the links down below to my Instagram, my Facebook. More mountain bike stuff coming up, more GX stuff coming up, more third gen. Oh, I got a lot of videos to make. Third gen stuff coming up. Somebody just sent me another cheap or inexpensive, I guess inexpensive is more is a better word for it, car refrigerator we're going to take a look at, this time with Bluetooth. So that's pretty cool. I have a fan sitting here, tiny little fan that's going to go on this, getting ready for camper season with some more mods. So until the next video drops, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me. Take care. Goodbye.